ready for short horror stories that will make you scream or cringe in discomfort. The abandoned asylum. It was a dark and stormy night, and I had always been drawn to the thrill of the unknown. As a journalist, I had spent years investigating paranormal activity, and this abandoned asylum was rumored to be one of the most haunted places in the country. I stood outside the crumbling building, my heart racing with anticipation. The windows were boarded up, and the door hung crookedly on its hinges, as if it had been torn off its frame. I could feel a chill run in my spine as I pushed open the creaking door and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust, and cobwebs clung to every surface like sticky fingers. I shone my flashlight around the empty room, trying to get a sense of what had happened here before it was abandoned. The walls were adorned with faded signs, warning of the dangers that lurked within. I made my way deeper into the building, my footsteps echoing off the walls. As I walked, I began to feel a strange sensation, as if I was being watched by unseen eyes. I spun around, but there was no one there. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper in my ear. It was soft and raspy, like an old woman's voice. "Get out while you still can," it whispered. I spun around again, but there was no one there. The whisper seemed to be coming from all around me, echoing off the walls. I tried to shake off the feeling of unease, telling myself it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as I continued to explore the asylum, I began to feel a sense of unease growing inside me. Doors creaked open by themselves, and I heard footsteps behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. I knew then that I had stumbled into something truly sinister. The asylum was not just haunted, it was alive, and it was watching me. As I made my way deeper into the building, I began to uncover a dark history. Patients had been subjected to cruel experiments and brutal treatments here, all in the name of science. And now, their spirits roamed the halls, seeking revenge on those who had wronged them. I found myself in front of a door marked Ward 13. The sign above it was faded, but I could make out the words "Danger. Do not enter." I felt a shiver run down my spine as I pushed open the door and stepped inside. The room was small and cramped, with narrow beds lined up against the walls. But what caught my attention was the large metal table in the center of the room, surrounded by chairs. On the wall opposite the table was a sign that read "Dr. Everett's office." I felt a chill run down my spine as I approached the table. Something about it seemed off, as if it had been left untouched for years, waiting for someone to come and investigate. As I reached out to touch the table, I heard a faint noise behind me. I spun around, but there was no one there. The noise came again, louder this time, a low creaking sound that seemed to be coming from the beds themselves. I felt my heart racing as I turned back to the table. Suddenly, I saw something that made my blood run cold, a small notebook lying open on the table. The pages were filled with handwritten notes, detailing some kind of twisted experiment. As I read through the notes, I realized that Dr. Everett had been conducting some kind of mind control experiments here. Patients had been subjected to sensory deprivation, and other forms of psychological torture, all in an attempt to break their minds and reprogram them. But something was off about the notes. They seemed incomplete, as if someone had been trying to erase them, but hadn't succeeded. I looked around the room again, feeling a sense of unease growing inside me. That's when I saw it, a small piece of paper stuck under one of the chairs. It was a note, scribbled in haste and panic. "Get out while you still can," it read. "They're watching us." I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that I was not alone in the asylum. Whatever had been watching me, before whatever had whispered in my ear, it was still here. As I turned to leave, I saw a figure standing in front of me. It was a young woman with long, curly hair and a white dress that seemed to glow in the dim light. "Who are you?" I asked her, trying to keep my voice steady. "I am Emily," she replied, her eyes filled with sadness. "I was a patient here once, and now I'm trapped between worlds." As I watched, Emily began to fade away, like a ghost disappearing into thin air. But as she vanished, I saw something that made my blood run cold, a photograph of myself standing in front of the asylum's main building. The date on the back read 1955. And as I looked closer, I realized that it was not just a picture of me, but a picture of my own grave. I knew then that I had to get out of there, and fast. But as I turned to leave, I saw something that made my heart skip a beat. Emily standing in front of the table, her eyes fixed on mine. "Welcome home," she whispered, her voice carried away on the wind. As I watched, Emily began to transform before my eyes. Her body grew taller and gaunter, her skin taking on a pale and haunted look. And then, in an instant, she was gone. I stumbled backward, gasping for breath. As I turned to leave, I saw that the room had changed. The walls were no longer lined with beds, but with old-fashioned hospital equipment, like X-ray machines and patient record folders. And on the wall opposite me, a sign read Ward 13 closed forever. I stumbled out of the room into the darkness of the asylum's corridors. I could feel Emily watching me, her presence all around me like a cold mist. As I ran through the corridors, I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy, deliberate footsteps that seemed to be coming from nowhere and everywhere at the same time. I knew then that I had to get out of there, and fast. But as I turned a corner, I saw something that made my blood run cold, a group of patients standing in front of me, their eyes fixed on mine with an unspeakable hunger. They were all wearing hospital gowns and had vacant expressions on their faces. They seemed to be not alive, as if they had been dead for years, but still moving and breathing like zombies. I tried to run, but my feet felt heavy and unresponsive. The patients began to move towards me, their eyes fixed, mine with an unspeakable hunger. As I watched, they began to change. Their faces contorted into grotesque grins, and their bodies began to twist and contort in ways that were not humanly possible. I knew then that I had stumbled into something truly evil, something that defied explanation or comprehension. And as the patients closed in on me, I realized that I was trapped in a living nightmare from which there was no escape. As the darkness closed in around me, I heard one final whisper. "Welcome home," it said. Thank you for joining me on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales. Until next time, stay safe and remember, some legends are more than just stories. Good night and sweet dreams.